Nigerians might soon heave a sigh of relief as the pump price of premium motor spirits, popularly called petrol, may drop due to the continuation of crude and refined product sales in Naira initiative by the federal government. Now, the federal government on Wednesday confirmed the crude and refined product sales in Naira initiative as a standing national policy, which will continue indefinitely after a meeting of the technical subcommittee. So how will the Nigerian oil markets react to this? Well, some people will say it's an interesting development as, of course, some Nigerians will be hoping to buy petrol at a relatively affordable price. But then Temitope Kolade, Associate Director, Oil and Gas and Power at Andersen Nigeria, joins me to unpack this. Temitope, it's nice to have you around on the show.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So let's start this way. I mean, NNPC board got overhauled. The former group CEO, Kyari, was eased out, and boom, Naira-based crude sales is back. Well, I'm not actually saying anything right here, but I'm actually particular about what you would have to say about these latest developments.
Well, it's a welcome development if you ask me. Apparently, this is what Nigerians would love, that we produce crude in Nigeria and then we make it available to refiners in Nigeria. So it's a great thing that the federal government is coming together to say that as approved by FEC, this is something that they want to be sustained over a long term and not just a matter of 6 months or a year thing. So good enough. However, I think the bigger challenge would be whether we're able to back that up in practice from the point of availability of the crude, which comes from issues around how much the government typically will need in terms of the payments that are due to the off-takers abroad, from which we have taken some sort of advance collection before now. So that's where there would be the job cut out for the current management of the NNPC held to deal with.
Well, we are still going to come to that, hopefully, if time permits, to dwell on that more. But then let's look at all indications that seems to be pointing to fuel price drop. I mean, global crude price is coming down. Naira-for-Crude is back. So fuel price should reduce to about 350, 400 Naira, just as Koran actually predicted yesterday. Don't you think?
I agree 100% because that's the major cost, right? The raw materials that is going into the production of refined products. So the expectation is that the price would drop at the same time. But we must also bear in mind that these products are kind of import dependent for us. The question is for, local production, for instance. You think about it from the point of, yes, how much of that can, say, Dangote refinery or all the modular refineries cater to in terms of our consumption needs in Nigeria, right? So there is still the need to import from outside Nigeria. Where is our exchange rate today, right? How does that impact on the drop? Is it going to be a significant drop enough, right? So there are other concerns that we need to think about, but expectedly there would be some drop. Is it going to be great enough to the extent that we can cater to our local needs? Maybe not. Right, but we should expect some drop.
But the priority of the government is to see that fuel importation is drastically reduced in terms of numbers. So are you probably saying that it is unachievable or probably something that can be done in the long term?
It is achievable, but it's not going to happen in an 100-meter dash, right? It's something that is going to happen over a period of time. We must think about it holistically from the point of how much refining capacities do we have in Nigeria today, right? For whatever reason, conversations have slowed down on the capacity of the NNPCL itself on the ability to, refine this product, even though we now know that, certain completions have been done, but how much of that are we seeing in the market? Maybe not. Again, when it comes to real numbers, we are not seeing the NMDPR really tracking things and giving us information as to how. So these numbers have not over time being as validated as they ought to be. So we don't even know what our local production is. Sometimes we still have issues around arbitrage because we sell at a price that is maybe favorable to other neighboring West African countries. So we don't have clear oversight on the numbers as to what we consume in Nigeria. So the consumption numbers are overblown, right? Or maybe overestimated to an extent. So all of these issues put together impact on how we're able to say that, oh, this is really how much we produce, and this is how much we'll need the refineries to help us meet on a daily basis or on a weekly basis or monthly basis. So those are the issues, and that's why, for whatever reason, we'll continue to import, at least in the short to medium term.
Okay, so let's look at it from a broader scope briefly. Now, I understand that the oil market reaction to the Trump trade tariff is actually brewing, and the U.S. president has paused it for about 90 days to give room for negotiations. But then, will this crude price reduction stick around in the market that is quite volatile? Do you think that might happen?
Sorry, I didn't get the landing of your question very
yes,
well.
I wanted to confirm. I wanted to confirm if this crude price reduction that we're seeing, will continue for a longer period. I mean, we understand that the market is actually volatile in terms of the price. But then, do you think this reduction, as it has actually reacted to the President Trump's tariff for a couple of days now, do you think it might continue for a longer while?
Well, oil price goes up and comes down. It's never for a very long time at a particular price. So what we should expect, in my view, is that this would continue for as long as we see Trump trying to drive the policies to favor Americans. And the idea for Trump is that, you know what, I want people to be able to access things. I want the economy to be better for the most of Americans. So I want to drive prices down. I want to resolve the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. I want to find a way to stem the tide in the Middle East, and that way I'm able to crash price. And so we may just expect that these prices may come down soon. And it appears that some progress is being made with respect to the issues around Russia and Ukraine, for instance. So it also tells us that soon enough, Russia may be able to also supply the rest of the world with its crude, unlike what has happened in the last 2-3 years. So what does that mean for oil price? We expect that the price may continue to be come down, or at least even maintain the price that it is for now. I don't think that Trump would say that he's there just yet. We see the issues again when it comes to the trade tariffs. China has said, you know what, I'm giving you fire for fire. I'm going to return what you're giving to me. And so maybe at some point there would be some sort of equilibrium, and then we'll be able to say, oh, maybe we've gotten to the realistic market price.
Hello, Kolade. Okay, I think we just suffered an internet glitch right there. Kolade, are you there? Okay, so I probably might just need to wait for some sort of reconnection to get Kolade back online. Kolade, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, so let's assume we've actually concluded. We actually have an understanding of what the power plays are with the global trade tariff and how it's affecting the businesses. But then we come back to Nigeria now and see where the position of the federal government is now that it is saying that the Naira-based crude initiative is a standing national policy. But then we hear that some individuals hate this particular deal and want it stopped. A lot of Nigerians are asking the question, is there any moral ground for wanting that particular deal to be discontinued?
Well, again, if you step back, we would realize how much the NNPC in particular has struck some deals with some off-takers and said, you know what, we need these dollars right now. And so they've gotten some money. And so it means that to fulfill those obligations and the fact that not so much has been achieved in terms of, oh, we want to ramp up our production to over 2 million barrels per day. We've not been able to get there. So we've got to sort of rationalize what we make available to the domestic market. So there are justifications for it at that point. And again, if you think about it, I want to earn as much, like we said in another conversation, that some people are also saying that if you can't export your crude, it also means that you can't gain foreign exchange for those crude, because you're going to have to sell them in Naira. So there are justifications, but is it for the overall good of the country? Is it for the overall good of the domestic market? Maybe not. So it's really where you stand at any of the sides of the fence that really will determine what arguments you would favor.
Yeah, talking about standing on the fence, Kolade. Now, the Depot and Petroleum Products Market Association of Nigeria, that is DAPPMAN, in March this year said the Naira-for-Crude oil policy risks Nigeria's FX stability and deters foreign investment by deviating from the global dollar-based oil market. So, I mean, does that do you think that that is a tenable excuse for the discontinuation of the deal?
Well, in my view, I will look at the overall interest of Nigerians, which is really that we want an economy that is most beneficial to every regular Nigerian on the street, right? And what is that? You want to do something that you produce I mean, it's almost unbelievable that you produce crude and you take them out of the country, and by the time it's coming back, whether it's coming from the US or from anywhere to come and refine, it could be part of the crude that you have sold out already. It also, what it means is that the logistics for that would increase the cost at which you're getting that crude in itself. And it doesn't matter in what currency you get those crude. So it doesn't make sense as such to say that you have sold out and then you've gotten some USD. It would only benefit a few persons, really, if you think about it in that perspective. So it would, I mean, for me, my view is that make the Naira for crude continue for as long as it could be, and ramp up production such that you can take care of local refining capabilities and capacity, right? And once that is done, you can then export whatever it is to the rest of the world. In economics, again, you can think about it in different ways, and people can rationalize anything. But it makes more sense for everyday Nigerian to see that what you produce, you can refine locally and then export the final product, which is what we should have been pushing for right from 1956, when oil was discovered by Shell in Oloibiri.
Okay, so let's now tie this around how it affects budget projections. Now, of course, oil prices are dropping, forward sales contract and crude for loan deal obligations are still active. How do these border on, first, oil export revenue, including budget projections and even its execution?
Okay, so again, if we tie this conversation around to the budget, if my memory serves me right, the budget projection at the beginning of the year was that we're looking at a benchmark price of oil at $75 per barrel. Now we're seeing 65. That doesn't necessarily help us. But could there be some gains in terms of maybe some currency exchange gains that would help the government overall? Maybe indeed, because again, we know that we are seriously import dependent when we look at what we do in Nigeria. Will this help that the modular refineries will be able to produce oil the more, and they'll be able to serve the local market, and of course would also have the exchange rate reduced to an extent that it supports trade for people who are doing things in Nigeria? Maybe it would help from that angle. So it really depends on how much we see the great implementation of some of these policies and how it then trickles down to everyone in the country and then give us a better life.
And earlier on, you talked about ramping up oil production, and some Nigerians are actually worried, or should I say, players within the sector are, disturbed around if NNPCL will still be prioritizing crude supply to local refiners now in alignment with the PIA.
I strongly believe that with the change of administration at the NNPCL, one of the mandates that I would expect that the president is given to the new management would be that, you know what, we want to stabilize this economy. We want things better for the people. So if that is the mandate, I would expect that top priority for the NNPCL will be to make crude available for refiners within Nigeria. And it's then possible from the point of transparency. And again, if you look at the people that have been put together within the NNPC to manage the affairs going forward, you would find that they are people with cognate private sector experience. So the expectation would be that they are up for transparency, and then we can begin to see some great handshake between the regulators and the NNPCL. The NNPCL then going to IPO very soon, trying to get private participants to also come in, right? So if that is the move that we would see from the NNPCL, I would expect that very soon enough we'll begin to see production ramp up to a point where we are able to cater to the needs of all the local refiners, and then of course it will be better for every Nigerian.
Okay, so just to wrap things up, Kolade, now domestic oil market is still vulnerable to global oil price swings. One of the things you mentioned, there's still Naira volatility, the risk of hoarding or price speculation if supply chains falter. That one too is still there. But then, just in about a minute, what sectoral reforms can effectively address these threats?
Well, as we think about some of these moves from a fiscal point of view, right, we also need to concern ourselves about the monetary policies. And for a while, it appears that some of the monetary policies that the CBN has tried to implement making, the Naira stable, right? But we must think about it from the point of going forward. Are we really getting the sort of investment that we need from a foreign direct investment perspective? Are people really interested from outside Nigeria to put in their money to help develop this economy? Or is what we're having just a situation where people are interested in putting the money market, for instance, foreign portfolio investments, for instance, that they are just, say, short-termed in the real sense of it. So for us to have the sort of gains that we really want, we must ensure that we balance all of the moves from the CBN with relevant fiscal incentives and fiscal policies that would encourage people to participate in Nigeria, and of course make doing business in Nigeria easy enough so that it's not a case that we don't have investments coming in real terms, and it's not just some sort of nominal investments that we're having. I think once we are able to do that, and say to the rest of the world that we mean business and we want to support business, and it's not just about businesses that are able to do things under the table, but those who are ready to do things transparently that we want to support in Nigeria, then we'll begin to see the real breakthroughs that we want for the economy.
Okay, well, we know that the road, either globally or domestically, the roads are not actually clear right now, but then it's all hinged on the intentionality of the Nigerian government. Temitope Kolade, Associate Director, Oil, Gas and Power at Andersen Nigeria, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the show.
Thanks, Second, for having me.
Of course.